First of all, welcome, Dr. John DeGarmo. We are so excited to have you joining us today and for our series of video interviews with you. For our audience and those folks watching, I want to introduce Dr. John DeGarmo. He is the director of the Foster Care Institute and founder and National Development Director of Never Too Late, a residential group home for boys in foster care. And not only is he living the experience every day, he's also an experienced academic and author of several books on foster care, including the Foster Care Survival Guide and Faith and Foster Care. Dr. John is a speaker and a trainer, and we are so pleased to have you with us. Thanks so much for joining us.
Well, thank you for the opportunity. I appreciate it.
Absolutely. So let's just dive right in. I would love for our folks to get to know you a little bit better and hear about kind of how you came to this position and some of your own experience with foster care.
Yeah, thanks for asking. You know, how I came to the position, I never planned on it. It was never something I thought about or dwelled upon or wasn't even an inspiration of mine as a child. I had misconceptions about foster parenting and foster care that so many people do. I thought you had to be married. I thought you had to have a lot of money, big house. I thought the kids were bad kids. I thought foster parents were weird people. I only got one thing right, and that is foster parents are a little bit weird because we have to be weird to do what we do. I think I became a foster parent. Let's go back years. So several years ago, my first child died of a condition called anencephaly, or some pronounce it anencephaly. It's a condition where the brain of the skull never truly forms. And after my wife went through labor of 92 hours, I was really filled with a lot of anger and turned my back on so many things in life. And it wasn't until later when we moved back to the United States, we were living in Australia at the time, where my wife is from, moved back to the United States, and we had 3 healthy children. I was teaching at that time in a rural high school. And I noticed a lot of students coming through my classroom, and they had issues of behaviors. There were issues of academics, lots of absences, so many kids in this rural town. And I kept asking myself, what is going on? What is it? Why are there so many? And then I met many of the birth parents, and I saw that it starts in the home. So I said to my wife, we lost our first child. We had 3 healthy children. How can we help more children? What can we do to help more kids who are in need? And that led to 16 years of foster parenting. That led to over 60 kids coming through our own home,
Wow.
the doctorate, the books, the Foster Care Institute. It all stemmed from that. That's where I got. And again, I never really planned any of that. So it's been a wonderful journey, an amazing ride, and I'm so blessed to do it. And I really, really love working with foster care agencies and foster parents across the nation.
That's wonderful. And I think through your perspective, we're going to get a really great amount of insight into some of the challenges, some of the joys, and I can't wait to hear more about it. Tell us too a little bit about, so I understand that you and your family were awarded a really significant prize from Good Morning America as a hero, and I would love to hear more about how that came to be.
Well, that was an interesting journey to be sure. We got a phone call from Good Morning America. A friend of ours, his wife was a producer at the time, and they called us up and said, hey, we want to come into your house and interview you about foster parenting, about adoption. We've adopted 3 kids from foster care, about the whole thing. My wife's from Australia. I'm from up north in the United States. We're living in the deep south. We have adoption of colorful children, if you will. So I thought, yeah, it's going to be all about that. And as well as our residential group home, Never Too Late, that we run. So they're spending all day interviewing us. And at the very end of the day, they pulled us aside and they said, hey, we want to give you an all-paid trip to a Disney cruise as Good Morning America heroes. And I was just so surprised. It was a big honor and a lot of fun and something that I was not prepared for.
That's wonderful. I think a lot of people will agree that any foster parent really is a hero. And these are folks who have such a significant place in our communities and can really be the voice for a lot of these kids and really be advocates for them. And I know that a lot of times we talk about, there really is a crisis right now in the foster care system in America.
Right.
Our agency is based in Virginia, but this is something that's happening nationwide. And I would love to hear a little bit more about your perspective and really kind of where you think we are in that place, and talk more about the need for foster parents.
Well, you hit it right in the head. Foster care is in crisis, not only in Virginia, and it certainly is in Virginia, but all across the nation. There are more children being placed into foster care right now than such a long time, mainly due to the opioid crisis.
Mm.
There are not enough homes. My wife and I have had as many as 11 children, 11 kids in our house several times. And even though the state limit is 6, they just kept asking us, those DeGarmos, they're crazy people. They'll take them. We just sign waiver after waiver because there's not enough homes. There's simply not enough homes. Not enough people willing to say, I will help these children. I will take care of these children. So, foster care is in crisis. More children, mainly due to the opioid crisis, not enough homes. Caseworkers are overworked, overwhelmed, under-resourced, underpaid, and then you add the human trafficking element into it, where so many kids in foster care end up victims of human trafficking. It absolutely is a crisis.
Yeah. And can you tell me too, you said that you've had up to 11 children in your home at once. Tell me a little bit about some of the age ranges that you've worked with, and anything that you can tell us as far as different needs. We specifically work with treatment foster care, so these are going to be really unique situations as far as behavior and things like that. And a lot of folks have a lot of misconceptions about that. So I would love to hear about kind of your willingness with your family to work with different age groups and things like that.
Well, we've had them as young as 27 hours old.
Wow.
In fact, we had one that was 5 weeks premature on a breathing respirator. We've had them as old as 18 years of age and everything in between. At one point, we had 7 in diapers, which I think should be illegal in all 50 states because, oh my goodness, it was crazy. I often tell foster parents at training conferences that I speak across the nation that foster parents go to work for really one main reason. Kids from 27 hours of age to 18 years of old and all in between. We've had 7 in diapers at one time, which I think should be illegal in all 50 states because that's just thoroughly exhausting.
Yes.
We've had children come to us who have been born addicted with drugs in their body. We've had children with tremendous anger issues, with issues of attachment, resentment, fetal alcohol, reactive attachment disorder, you name it, the whole gamut. And I have found that none of these children are bad kids. They all are just a child looking for someone to say, I will love you. I will love you despite all of your challenges. I will love you unconditionally, and I will not give up on you.
What would you say to somebody who is looking at you and saying, yes, but he and his wife are educated, they come from a specific background. Maybe I don't have the tools or resources or education to work with kids who may have some unique challenges?
I would say that, well, to begin with, each time there's a place in my own home, and I know we're going to talk about this later on, but each time that someone calls for a place in my home, I have to determine if that placement is the best placement. So for somebody who's saying, I can't take those kids with certain issues, that's perfectly fine. There are over 500,000 kids in foster care across the country. There is absolutely a child right now who is a great fit for your home.
Yes.
You don't have to have a great deal of money or a big house or all those things. You just have to be willing to help a child in need. And I think that's the main thing. You've got to have a heart for children, compassion, patience, and be willing to allow your heart to break for a child when they do leave your home eventually.
That's wonderful. And we'll definitely get into more of the aspects of what happens through the transition when a child leaves your home and some of those, all of the feelings associated with that and how it affects your biological family and things like that. So lots of great stuff to get into related to foster care, the adoption process. I would love to hear more as we wrap up here about some of the new exciting ongoing projects that you're working on. It sounds like the group home that you have opened is up and running, and I would love to hear about that. and touch on your the nonprofit foundation as well.
Oh, thank you. Yes, we're actually right here in the residential home, Never Too Late. My wife and I are serving as house parents right now, temporary house parents until we find a permanent set. It was a long journey to get here. It's not easy opening up a residential home with today's regulations, but such a need, such a need. It's a nonprofit. My wife also runs a nonprofit called A Happy Childhood, where we take children from foster care to Disney World and allow them to heal through what we call Disney therapy, leave behind all their abuse, their anxieties, and their traumas. I've got 2 new books coming out in 2019, The Church and Foster Care, as well as The Little Book of Wisdom for Foster Care, which I'm really excited about. 365 days of tips and inspiration for foster parents. And then, of course, here at the Foster Care Institute, where I work at, we have every month we're adding more online training webinars where foster parents and caseworkers and child advocates of all kinds can go online and learn all about foster parenting. In fact, one of our newest ones is a very popular one, lice. How do you battle lice? Or we have one with biting, just one fire starters. So many opportunities for foster parents and caregivers to learn, because foster parenting is a learning experience every single day. It's never dull, it's never monotonous, and every time a new child comes in the home, there's certainly going to be a new learning curve for the foster parents as well.
Yeah, absolutely. That's wonderful. And remind folks to, we will put a link to where they can find you, but if you want to just let folks know where they can find you and find some of your online resources.
Thank you. On Facebook, I'm Dr. John DeGarmo, and we publish stuff all day long about foster care related and adoption. Twitter, Dr. John DeGarmo, and my website is the Foster Care Institute. Or just Google Dr. John DeGarmo as well, and my website will come up. Lots of resources, videos, articles, blogs, online training webinars. I've really dedicated my entire life to 3 things: helping the children in foster care, helping foster parents, and to help the general society understand what foster care really is about, to get rid of those bad misconceptions, those false assumptions that so many had, that I used to have as well.
Yes. Well, we here at Intercept are overjoyed to have you as a resource and really excited and looking forward to more conversation with you soon. And so we'll catch up with you next time. Thank you so much, Dr. John, and we'll talk to you soon.
Thank you so much.
Thanks.